afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Museum of the African Diaspora. My name is Elizabeth Getzel, and I'm the Director of Public Programs here at the museum. Very happy to have you here with us this afternoon. How many of you, this is your first visit to the museum? Wonderful, excellent to get you in here. Do we have any members in the audience? A couple, all right. Well, we would love to have you as members of Museum of the African Diaspora. If you enjoy the work that we're doing, and you like what you see here today, and you'd like to support the museum, we'd love to have you as members. Before we get started, I want to tell you about something that's on the things that are on your chairs. You have a What's Happening flyer from the museum that tells you about upcoming programs. We're in the middle of a really wonderful film series called Jump Up, the NMOS film series that supports our current exhibition, NMOS, Carnival and Performance Art in the Caribbean. So it's all films from the Caribbean about music and carnival and celebration to support the current exhibition. You also have a survey, so if you could take a minute before you leave today to fill out that survey. It's really helpful for us here to gather information about who our audience is and what you're getting out of the program. So if you could do that, that would be great. You also have a postcard about Bibe's upcoming programming. And there are a few flyers here on this table about a new program that he's starting next Thursday about the African diaspora and dance. So if you want more information, there's some flyers on the table here. But I know today you all are here to see this lecture and demonstration called Calling Divine Spirits, Minkisi Minkondi, Sacred Sculptures of Central Africa. And that's going to be presented by Bibene. He is a dance instructor, researcher, choreographer, and performer working in theater and contemporary dance. His own technical and aesthetic sensibility is rooted in the culture and dances of his country of origin, the Republic of Congo. He has toured the world and performed internationally with companies and choreographers originating from Africa, England, France, and the USA. Artistic director of Kiandanda Dance Theater, Bibene initiated Mbongi Square Festival, a multidisciplinary arts festival that gathers dance, music, spoken word, and visual artists from the Bay Area and across the world. Outside of his professional careers of theater and dance, Bibene has a passion for writing. He is author of numerous poetry and shorts. Bibene owns a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Finances from Marian Nguabi University, Brazzaville, an MFA in Dance, and a Certificate in Dance Production Management from St. Mary's College of California. Please join me in welcoming Bibene.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. This feels so official. Right, instead, I'm gonna audit, so it's I'll be more relaxed to chase the butterflies. Elizabeth said it. My name is Bibene from the Republic of Congo. So today I am here to share with you this research I have been doing about the Minkisi Minkondi. That these are statues. So when we say Minkisi Minkondi, as you can see on the screen, that's the plural of the name that is given to these specific sculptures. And you can see already the first pictures on the screen of what the Minkisi Minkondi are. In singular, it's called actually Minkisi Minkondi. You will see it throughout the presentation. So I say share just because I am not an expert on this Minkisi Minkondi, but it's just I found when I discovered these elements of my culture, and I became fascinated with it, and I started doing extensive research on what they meant. And what they meant yesterday back in like 19th centuries down, and what they mean for me today as a dancer and a choreographer. So I will start to tell you a little bit of story how I came to, how I became interested in these sculptures. So I think it was about a few years back, maybe 2006, I believe. I was visiting France. I was on tour with my dancers, dance company back there in France. And during the break, I went to the Museum of Cape Branly, and they have a lot of collection of cultural patrimony from Africa and from pretty much around the world. And that was the first time I saw this statue. And I became so fascinated with it, and I started asking questions, so like how come during my entire upbringing in the Congo, I did not know about this, or nobody ever told me about it. So, and just even there, it was, when you go in a museum, there is a lot of description of the name of the statue and also the origin, like where it's from. Like that doesn't give you full context of what it actually is. So I became I started researching about the statues, and just to find out how big of an element it was for the people of the Congo people. But before I go further in there, I would like to give you tell a little bit about the geography. So which means talk about Africa almost, and specifically Central Africa. So Africa we know today was not Africa that used to be in the 17th, 16th century as we know with the countries we have. So with the countries we have, or the map of Africa we have today is a map drawn by colonization, and that really started in 1884 to 1885. There was a conference called the Conference of Berlin, where, of course, European powers gathered in Berlin to split Africa, where each country were going to occupy lands in Africa. So France had to take certain lands, and the Belgians, the Italians, and so all Europeans, pretty much the Spanish, the Portuguese had to take lands, occupy lands. So they divided Africa basically based on their interest. And of course there were no Africans in the conference, so they didn't ask them for anything. So that's the history, as you know, of Africa, of the world. So, and again, when we say this thing, it's history, it's not to make anyone to feel guilty about anything. So we say history as it is, and sometimes it repeats itself, so it's good to know. So I'm gonna go in my scroll. So about me, they presented, Elizabeth says something about myself. I am a dancer, I'm a choreographer. So dance came, as a child, I already did dance. Coming from the Congo, dance and music is really a big part of the culture. You grow up, you listen to music, it's all everywhere, dance is everywhere. I was not dreaming of becoming a dancer, a professional dancer, because it was just something that we were exposed to. And so I studied economics when I was in college, before later on when I came to America to study dance so really deeply when I just graduated with my master's in dance. So so I wanted to show, this is the world map as we know with different continents. So you're gonna maybe probably just focus on Africa. So this map of Africa a little bit with the countries that we have now. So this is not to tell you don't know the word of the map, the map of the world, but it's just like I think it's really important for me to show it again as we already know it. And also I wanted to show the map of Africa before colonization. So in Africa, there were no, it was not divided with that was a pause to allow our precious guests to have a seat. So you can tell this Africa was divided into empires and kingdoms. So from north to south, they were like really powerful empires and powerful kingdoms, as many have probably heard about the era of Egypt, the reign of the Egyptian civilization. So there were many civilizations in Africa. There were, the Egyptians, there were the Nubians, Nubia that's today is like identified as Sudan, now south and north Sudan. And when you go south, there were kingdoms as the Kingdom of Congo, the Kingdom of Teke, the Kingdom of Luango. So there were so many kingdoms. So the one of the biggest one in Central Africa was the Kingdom of Congo. And of course there were also empires, like the Empire of Timbuktu, that is when you look at Mali, which is West Africa today, they were like a huge kingdom too. So I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. So as you can look at the map, this is after colonization. So the Congo, when you can see, this is from divided by the occupation, the European occupations, which land in Africa they took. So we had the French, as you can see, they were in Central Africa, and the Belgium took the what's today the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Portuguese were in Angola, and the British and the Italians, and the French took a lot of lands. French took a lot of lands, the British as well took lots of land, and there is a little country there, it's on white, it's a free, that's the only country in Africa that was not colonized, and that's Ethiopia. Yeah, they resisted somehow to colonization. And then we have the map as we have now with the names. So Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Angola, Central Africa, Cameroon. So I will just really focus on Central Africa, so I'll go straight to the point of why we're here. So I'm not giving the geography lesson, but this is just that we know where what's coming is located. So again, I went back to Central Africa. So Central Africa today, when we say Central Africa, the countries in Central Africa, Chad, Cameroon, Central African Republic. We have Gabon, Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Angola. And so the people of Congo. So I'm gonna go straight talking about the people of Congo. In Africa there is a lot of ethnic diversity, and so it's a lot of ethnic. But the people of Congo is because the Kingdom of Congo was one of the important kingdom in Central Africa. So the people of the Kingdom of Congo, they call them the Congo people. The Congo people, so they were found, you could find the Congo people in the Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Angola. And these people of Congo were part of this larger group called the Bantu people. So the Bantu people were this group of people identified by the facial features. When you go from south to, from east to west, as humans, we have different features depending on where we are located geographically. So the Bantu people share specific features, facial features or body type. So when you go south, like the Pygmies, for instance, they also had specific features. They were maybe shorter or maybe lighter skin, and they lived mostly in forests. And also the Pygmies live in forests, and the Bushmen, you can find them like when you go south, southern Africa. So, and when you go west or you get to Mali, so just different type of people. When you go east of Tanzania, the Maasai. So we are not going to go deeper into the ethnic descriptions. But the Congo people, just to retain, they are from the Bantu, larger Bantu people. So the Congo people again, there is a lot of ethnic diversity. So in the Republic of Congo, which is as you saw further, Republic of Congo is smaller than the Democratic Republic of Congo, as you can tell. So you can see in green, the Democratic Republic of Congo is much larger today, much larger country, and the Republic of Congo is a small country, that's where I'm from. So these two countries, we are divided by a river. It's called also the Congo River. So the Congo River, in some part of the Congo River, you can swim, right? Literally. You can wave at people on the other side, or you can swim there. And when I travel to the Democratic Republic of Congo, you never feel you're poor because we speak the same languages and we have the same food, we share the same culture, music and dance cultures. This is a perfect map. You can see the size difference. So in the Republic of Congo, we are like about 5 or 6 million inhabitants versus the Democratic Republic of Congo, they are about over 60 million inhabitants. So it's much larger, one of the most populated, second I think most populated country in Africa after Nigeria. So this is I was just giving a brief context of you may take a look. You may take a look, but it's not necessarily that we want to go through for the historical content. Just to say briefly, the people of Congo are known as the Bakongo people, which I already said, and so they're part of the Kingdom of Congo, which capital city of the the capital city of the Kingdom of Congo was located in Angola, and it was called Mbanza Congo. So those people were just basically the same people who ruled about one king. I'm gonna just give you 30 seconds for you to look at a little bit of some facts, how the people had their own religions and how they became Christians. That's in the 18th century with missionaries coming to Africa to introduce Christianity. And of course that's contributed a lot to, I call it cultural corruptions, like cultural and religious corruptions, because Christianity is about believing, Jesus. So which means any other thing that was not related to Christianity was labeled as evil or Satan or what other names you know. And that also contributed to allowing, I think one of the things that allowed colonization was religions. So when the religion came to, Christianity was introduced to Africa, the idea was to tell you, you cannot believe anymore to your gods and your goddesses and all your local religions that you had, your ancestral religions. That wasn't something you should forget about. And also sometimes about the dance culture too. There were some dances that the missionary literally forbid, like you cannot dance this way because it's obscene. You cannot do this because this is not what God wants you to do. And of course, one of the things that contributed to the decline of the Kingdom of Congo was Christianity, of course, because the first kings who accepted Christianity as the local religion, so the names. So the king in the Congo were called the Mani, so called Mani Congo. The Mani Congo was the name of the king. So they were Mani Congo 1 and 2, or Mani Mvemba, or Mani this and Mani that. So the first king who embraced Christianity, his name was he took the name of Jao 1, and that was basically Portuguese. As I said in the beginning, the kingdom capital was located in Angola, what is Angola today. So the Portuguese, the first contact of Europeans in Central Africa was established by the Portuguese. So the Portuguese were the first before the French to occupy the land. And of course, full time with the military, they discover with the Industrial Revolution, discovering weapons and armies became more powerful. So which we see after today, whoever has the most powerful weapons rule the land. So and in the Kingdom of Congo, you can see, as I'm not gonna name it, there is a lot of racial, ethnic diversity from the Teke, from the Bulungi, the Lari people. There is a lot. So in the Republic of Congo today, it has been we count about 60 ethnic groups. And in the Democratic Republic of Congo, there are a little over 260 ethnic groups. So which means each ethnic group has its own language. So which is always interesting when I left Africa, came here, when, you know, African this, when we talk about African dance and African this, there is no such thing as African dance and African this, because it is a continent. And each ethnic group, they have their own way of doing certain things. Of course, there are similarities. There are similarities, but the language is different. Some language, you can find some similar words, but if they derive from, for instance, from the Congo language, which I speak, my mom is from the Congo people, my dad is from another, like the Tangi people, so it's different. So different languages, different cultures. Yeah, this I spoke about this already, Democratic Republic of Congo. So that was a little bit giving a historical context, so I can really take you to the journey, the historical journey, how you get to know Central Africa. And now I would love to tell you a little bit about my discovery of the Minkisi Minkondi. So this is the face of Minkisi. So in singular we say Minkisi Minkondi. So, but before we say Minkisi Minkondi, I would say, let's take the first name, which is Minkisi. And each of these names have meanings. One is Minkisi, it has one meaning, and the other one is Minkondi, also has a meaning. So the Minkisi, as you can tell, is this statue. You can see it as how it's shaped here. I'm gonna scroll down again. So the Minkisi were the specific statues we can find all over Central Africa. So which means you could find Minkisis in the Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Angola, which is, those are today, but it was mostly scattered in the Kingdom of Congo. So that was a culture specific to the Congo people. And what is the statue where you see? So Minkisi, the first explanation, the first meaning of Minkisi is basically it's medicine. Minkisi is medicine. So if I say Minkondi, so which means anytime you say, if you just say, if I'm speaking in the language, I say Minkisi, everyone will say, oh, it's medicine. But if I say Minkisi Minkondi, it means a particular medicine that is this statue. And what is particular about about this statue, I will take this picture, for instance, you can tell, it's the nails. So any Minkisi Minkondi has the specificity is that the nails are inserted into the body of the statue. So, and in the Minkisi, if you take just one name, there are many kinds of Minkisi. So which means many kinds of medicine. So, but one of the most powerful Minkisi, one of the most powerful medicine, if I have just to use a Western word for Minkisi's medicine, one of the most powerful medicine that we found in Central Africa was the Minkisi Minkondi. But it was not just a medicine. That's what we're going to talk about. So you can see as you look at the picture, and the specificity of all the Minkisis were they had nails inserted into the body, and into the box. There is a box into towards the abdomen here, and also the specific were the eyes of the Minkisi were the nganga. I will talk about that too. The eyes were made in a way they face and the eyes, so in a way they became they frightened, so a little bit frightening. So they gave an expression of fear, like the Minkisi has to be a little bit frightening to the viewer. So, and the Minkisi came in different shapes and different sizes. So some of them, as you see, the one Minkisi there is holding a spear, and sometimes some have like the hands in this position, this is the position of power, and you can see each Minkisi has a certain number of nails. So we'll be talking about it. So some Minkisis were shaped as a dog. So we have a two-headed dog. So a two-headed dog, which means in ancestral belief in many cultures in Africa, so this factor specifically the culture of the Congo, we believe in the duality of worlds, which means there is the visible world and the invisible world. So our body is living in this world, the physical world, and then we have the metaphysical world, so the one we don't see with our eyes. But the two worlds are interconnected. One does not exist without the other. So in the philosophy, even the philosophy of the Congo, the philosophy of Congo, even we call the Congo Cosmology, we always say we come to life, we grow up, and then we age, and then we live. So we call it, commonly we say death, we die. But we don't die. The death is not death, it's a transition. We transition to the other world to become ancestors. So ancestor also, it's another word to pay attention to. We don't, not anyone becomes an ancestor. Who is ancestor? It's not because you just pass away that you become an ancestor. Usually ancestor, when you transition to another world, in the Congo belief, you become an ancestor based on how you lived your life in the physical world. So if you were someone who contributed to your community, you were you champion for the world, for the community, or a modern example, we say someone like Martin Luther King or Gandhi. You know, based on what they live, how they live their life, what they did for the community, for the people, automatically when you transition after a certain time, you are looked up as an ancestor, which means people can call on your spirit, can call on your name. And an ancestor cannot just be a big figure, it could be also someone who marked your family, like your grandfather or your mother or your uncle, someone who was some meaningful to you in your life, in the life of your families. So those people also become your ancestor. So these two edit, Minkisi Minkondi was looking at the two worlds. One head is looking at the visible world, and the other head is looking at the invisible world. And you see, they have the same body, so which means it's interconnected. So we'll be coming back to the details of everything. So again, these are just another Minkisi with the names. So you can see another Minkisi Minkondi. This one is shaped as a monkey, and so this one is shaped as the monkey. I will come back to it. And this is another Minkisi. This one is just as similar as the other ones I already showed, but the only difference with the others is this one is tall. Actually, this is located in Metropolitan Museum in New York, and it's about 5 feet tall. So the Minkisi in size, let's start with the size. They vary from, they could be this tall to 5 feet tall. So a few inches tall to this like huge. And they were all at different specificity. So you can tell this is a photo that I, in my research that I found, and it's been published. It's a widely spread picture, but the photographer is unknown. We don't know all the researchers, everybody who researched about Minkisi couldn't find who took this photo. But you can see the different Minkisi. There is in size and shape. I'm gonna scroll down again. Again, this is another more Minkisis here, and this lady, I believe, is having a spiritual connection with the Minkisi. Okay, good. So I have shown you just the different shape of the Minkisi, and I'm gonna go back to explaining more about the Minkisi. So the size of the Minkisi varied on the needs. So first of all, the Minkisi, who makes the Minkisi? So the statue is just a statue, it's just a piece of wood. But there is a person we call the Nganga. The Nganga is a healer, is a special healer, someone who is who's given the power, certain power and knowledge, who's been initiated to ancestral knowledge, to someone who has the power and knowledge to communicate, who serves as a medium between the people, like the people from this world and also our ancestral world. So the Nganga, you have to look at the Nganga as a doctor. A doctor who has the knowledge to medicine. And just as a doctor, each doctor has its own specificity. So you have doctor that is a brain surgeon. Some doctors, they heal joints. Some are like heart disease. So that's the same for the Nganga. So when the Nganga work with the carver, the person who knows how to work with wood. So when you go, you are sick. You are sick. You go see the doctor. So when you go see the doctor, you tell the doctor what you're there for. You give the symptoms, and based on your symptoms, the doctor was going to prescribe your medicine. Like, okay, based on your symptoms, this is what you should do. So same for the Nganga. So when you go see the Nganga will know what kind of Minkisi we need for you. So the Nganga will take with the carver. They will design either the Minkisi should be this tall or whatever Minkisi that you need. And also, most importantly, the Nganga will know what kind of medicine you need. We need to put in Minkisi, and also what kind of spirit we need to summon, because the Minkisi is a vessel. So we have the ancestors, we have the Minkisi. So as we believe in the ancestral world and those being connected, the Minkisi just serve as a vessel. The Nganga use the material from the physical, from the visible world, from this physical world, but this material have to be charged with a certain energy. So the energy that is charged, so we call it a process of activation. The Nganga has to activate the medicine. The Nganga has to activate the Minkisi, and the Nganga has the knowledge what kind of spirits or kind of ancestral spirits he's gonna call on, because he only has the knowledge to it. So in the process of activation, the Nganga will then do either it's going to be through a process of incantation, either chanting, or either have you participate in the process of activating. So he has to know, you're going to ask you either you clap your hands, or either you chant, or either you say some words, specific words. Himself, he knows what you do, what the words that is that you need to say, so that the Minkisi become activated. So then the Minkisi is basically, when you're doing for that process, it's just calling on a certain spirit to inhabit the body of the statue. And once that is done, it's gonna ask you to leave, and you're gonna find cure to the problem you came for. So I'm gonna continue a little bit here. So the Minkisi, I think I would like to just give you, put the image of the Minkisi here. So the medicine here we're talking about, when you look at this box, before the Nganga call on the spirits to activate this statue. So in the box, that where goes the actual medicine. So the medicine that goes in the box is made of different elements. So this element could be so that little box, we call it the kudu. The box you see in the abdomen, we call it kudu. So the box is made of, it could be hash taken from either the cemetery, it could be claws, it could be a little piece of mirror, it could be like bird claw, it could be a snake jaws, it could be like insect cocoons, it could be quartz crystals, it could be, like I said, pinches of salt from the cemetery, it could be mushroom, it could be mirror reflective, it could be a mirror or just a reflective surface, it could be a stone, like specific stones. So it could be pretty much it could be specific leaves from the tree, or it could be a roots of a tree or the roots of a plant. So the roots, so anything that the Nganga choosing himself, he knows. I Bib don't know, but the Nganga knows what kind of roots, what kind of leaf is gonna make the combination, and the combination is gonna insert into the body, the kudu, the body of the statue. That's the body that would make that will compose the cure to the problem you came for. So, and then after that is done, sometimes some medicine too, some of the elements of nature that I talked about were also put into behind the eyes of the Minkisi. So behind the eyes, they reflect. You see, the eyes always have to be painted white with actually the resin. And sometimes the insertion of those elements were put by hand inside the eyes before it got sealed. So before it got sealed, and after that's done, then the Nganga would go through the process of chanting and incantations, call on the spirit of Minkisi. And then after that's done, the Nganga will ask you to leave. Then you find cure to the purpose of your visit. So the reason why I'm saying purpose, I want to tell you what the Minkisi, what the purpose was. So here I worked a little bit, what does the Minkisi treat? So the Minkisi, before I read this, or as you can read, the Minkisi has two antagonist purpose. So the Minkisi had both positive powers and negative powers. So we can see the Minkisi treated. It could be injury, misfortune, conflict, fight, agreement, disease, lack, prove guilt or innocence, heal the sick, bring revenge, settle legal disputes. So it was basically representing what I call the moral cause of the society. I call the moral cause of the society because this element was not just curing a disease. It was also protective or a guardian of the community. So when there was legal disputes, so if we had, today we call it a lawyer, so the Nganga could also be a lawyer. So you have two parties, have businesses, and you need a lawyer, you go see the Nganga. So the Nganga, based on what is the protocol of your agreements, then the Nganga will know how to, so almost when you get in agreement, today we're gonna sign. So just as what we do today, the lawyer does today, to keep back into a legal protocol, the Nganga did the same. So then you two parties, if you have business, we need to get to an agreement, so we see the Nganga, then you're gonna tell the Nganga, okay, this is what we are doing, so anybody that breaks the rule, the agreement, then you two decide what's going to happen to each one of you. So the Nganga will listen to you, and then the Nganga will go through the process of sealing the kudu and summoning the spirits, and then you leave. So if you decided, okay, if you break the rule, the disagreement, you get sick, or you get into, or you die, if it's something negative, or whatever you say, then that's what's going to happen to you. Whoever breaks the rule, the agreements, that's what's going to happen to you. So the Minkisi also, if you were, as I said, I insisted that when you are sick, depending on the disease, you go see the Nganga, and that's also you're gonna find cure. So if someone broke into your house, there was a theft in the community, you wanna find who did it, and then you go into see the Nganga, and so the Minkisi has the power to find who's the guilty person, who's the culprit. So, and also it's also just solving conflict. So you have conflict, you will see the Nganga again, and the Nganga will resolve, find a cure to you to bring peace and harmony into your family. So if there was also in the community was like, or like we have a drought, like in California, when we were fighting a drought, and my thoughts to the people of Santa Rosa. So you could see the Nganga also. The Nganga knows what kind of what the person in quotation, what kind of medicine he's gonna find to, and what kind of Minkisi also he needs to carve to bring rain in the community. Or if there is not enough harvest, you want to bring more productions in the field, the Minkisi will know. That's what you're gonna expose to the Nganga. The Nganga will know what to do. And misfortune, like, you know, sometimes we get superstitious. Oh, I think something's going on, and I'm not passing. Something's not quite here. I'm not passing my exam. For those who are superstitious, so you know what a superstition is. And then you can see the Nganga may help you. So the Nganga here is serving as a therapist. So the Nganga could be a therapist. That's my English. So the Nganga, as I say, could end disasters. So now you can see, as I said in the beginning, not all of these cases are cured by one Nganga. I said, like the doctor, each doctor is specialized to curing some a different disease, and this applies for the Nganga too. So if it was something like ending disasters, you need to go see a specific Nganga what's the English word for this? Who was initiated to that specific power to communicate with a specific ancestor or specific forces of the nature to bring to end the natural disaster, for instance. And one thing that is mostly commonly practiced today too is like stopping the rain. And I will say this, my friend, they think it's a joke, but my Western friend, but they say it's not a joke. Like when it's like you have a wedding in the Congo and the sky goes gray, you know, it's going to rain. Someone say have to stop the rain. So this is still practiced up to today. So we have a ritual, we do a specific ritual, and we stop the rain. And this is not a joke, this is real. So we call on the Nganga. At least for stopping the rain, that's one of the knowledge that was, you don't need a Nganga to do it, but it was passed on, one of the knowledge that was preserved. A lot of this knowledge is not in practice anymore because of the historical colonization. So by stopping the rain, people know how to do it. I know a little bit. I don't know certain codes. I didn't learn, not yet. So you can see a specific Nganga. And the Nganga brings a specific Minkisi. So if it's like for natural disaster, you need a more powerful Minkisi, which means the taller Minkisi that you saw, like the 5 feet tall, that was the kind of Minkisi that was specifically carved or built to solve bigger problems, like community problems. Those are bigger. Sometimes it was a combination. Some Nganga used a combination of different Minkisis, like we saw further in our images. Okay, I don't know what I did. I need help. I think it went need to maximize, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's a combination of different Minkisis. So combination would mean there are a Minkisi that is taller, and this one is a little smaller, and one is holding, you can see that tall is holding kind of a whisk, and we call it a broom, we call it Kikombolo. So it's just, as you can see, I have it around me. And this broom to us is specific meaning, that's another lecture. And also, so sometimes it's a combination of different kind of Minkisi to solve bigger problems in the society or in the community. yeah, to solve different problems in the community. I'm gonna go back to my image. So again, the Minkisi Minkondi was, as I said, it was the most powerful. So I'm gonna describe you to go back a little bit to the insertions. So the nails. One thing I want to specify is like before the Nganga call on the spirit of the ancestors, it takes the nail or a spike, something pointy that can be inserted into the body of the statue. So he takes the nail, he says incantation words like secret word, he has the secret, and then he's going to insert it into the body of the Minkisi, the statue, the sculptures. So each nail represents one request. So as many nails as you see in the body, that means those are the number of requests by the people. So if you see like this Minkisi with this many nails, which may mean a lot of people went to see the Nganga for many problems. Probably that was a very, should I say, efficient Minkisi. So, and when you look at these guys here too, and there's so many nails or insertions into their bodies, which means probably the Nganga was had the responsibility for taking care of a larger community or larger, not a big number of people request to deal with. So I am not sure, as the Nganga carved, I am not sure if he had a certain limit of nails that he could insert into the body, and also how deep the insertion were into the body. So I think that also could have, this is just me connecting, could be depending on how deep the nails were inserted into the body of the statue. And also the positions. Is the nail like inclined or not? It has to go straight. So that's also something I will need to talk to Nganga to find out, but we can just, from what we see, we can see that they are either inclined or they go in the feet or in the face, and I'm sure each positions, each placement in the body would have meant something too. One of this Minkisi also inspired what we know today as the voodoo puppet, because the history of slavery, many Africans or African descent people we see around the world, of course, originated from Africa because of the transatlantic the slave trade. So many slaves that went, of course, people from African descent who left Africa also left with the cultures, and somehow sometimes they reinvented the religion or spiritual practices. Sometimes they just had to reinvent it from memory. And what else we have? The spear. The spear also meant other, in a situation of war, for instance, if you go away for war to another group of people, for instance, another land, sometimes you have to, the Nganga, of course they call on the Nganga to use the spear as a way to reinforce the power of the local army, so you can win the battle or win the war. And in the Minkisi over there, you see extra medicine around by the shoulders. So I am not specific about. I have not found yet what, especially in the Minkisi right there, what's the meaning of the extra medicine that they put. So I'm looking for why the extra medicine on the specific Minkisi right there, and I'm sure it's more of medicine, but I don't know this specifically of. I'm still looking for the answer. And what else I wanted to share? So this Minkisi here, this is one of the Minkisis as I used a lot in my dance practice. I have a dance project also called Minkisi Minkondi. So the Minkisi here, this Minkisi has a skirt, and the skirt is called we call it a mbokola. So it's made of a raffia fabric. So I don't know if there is equivalent word for raffia in English. So the raffia fabric looks a little bit as the fabric. It's like a burlap, you know, like a burlap bag. But the raffia is drawn from I think this tree in the fire. It's like fibers, tree fibers of like we have the tree there in Congo looks like a coconut tree, like a palm nut tree, but it's drawn from those fibers, and we make a raffia material that looks really like a burlap bag. So for me, I like this Minkisi right here because I'm a dancer, and I call it a dancing a dancing Minkisi. And you can tell it doesn't have any insertion, not a lot of insertions, or some were lost too. So the shape of the Minkisi, when you look at them, they shape like humans, but they could be. They are asexual, so it's not a man or a lady. But some kisses I have found, like they were specifically shaped as a woman carrying a baby. So I think that was a kiss like really protective guardians of fertility in the community. So when I say fertility, it's about fertility of the land, but also of the people, the capability to multiply. So because also in those many cultures there, or the culture that they believe the wealth of the family was about how many kids you had. So if you had more people, more kids, the larger the family was, that was a wealthy family, because you work on the field, you need more hands, and when your father's transitions, then the kids need to carry on the legacy. And so having many larger kids was considered as a rich, an important thing. Like myself, I come from a big family. You can ask me how many brothers and sisters I have later. So the mbokola, what else I wanted to share with you? So this Minkisi, this is the description I had. So the Minkisi today is not in practice anymore. We found Minkisi, the statues, as I said in the beginning, I found my discovery of Minkisi was in a museum. So the Minkisis today are found in the museums scattered in Europe or here in America. You find them in Chicago Museum, in the Metropolitan, like all over, and also at private collectors. So in the 19th century, after during the Industrial Revolution, and also after the Europeans had already colonized, there was a time there was a need of the African artifacts. It could be statues and cultural patrimony, because of the increase of the trade between Europe and Africa, or beside the natural resources. So the Minkisi were perceived by Europeans as pieces of art. But over there, it was not a piece of art. It was something, it was sacred. You bow to, you represented something very important for you. You know, it was a vessel for your ancestor. He lived next to you in your house. It was not art. But with the increase of the trades between Europeans, and also just the discovery of Africa, and also of the new land, America, so slave trade increases, and the interest into the African art grew. So the Minkisi became a piece of art. So on top of what the missionary did into stripping the people with this In the beginning, they used to burn. Thousands of Minkisi were burnt. And then when they found out that this could, the Minkisi draws interest from the traders, so instead of burning the Minkisi, they were stripping the people from Minkisi, and they were sent into what we have now in the museums. Some were stolen, some were just taken by force, and yeah, so we have them scattered all over. I found some I tried to Google, found on Amazon. The authentic ones, they're like very expensive. Or if you don't have $4,000, $5,000 to get one small one, you can afford it. So and also what in my research I found that these Kisi were they were activated, they were active. They were almost human beings because they were alive. It was not dead, it was alive. But before it was either stolen or taken, I found out in my research that the Nganga had time to deactivate the vessel. So all the pieces found scattered all over the place are just empty boxes. There is no energy to it. So I need to go deep in my own. This is the history. That's how we can go even deeper into that. So the Minkisi also, another reason the missionary had to strip the Minkisi from the people, because it was an element of defiance. It was defying them. It was because before religion, we have to understand in the 1400s, when Diego Cao, that was the first Portuguese who came to the coast of Africa, in Angola, for about 3 centuries, there were friendship trades between Africa, the African and the kingdom of Portuguese. So this is something we don't talk a lot about. It was because these were very the kingdom of Congo was a very organized kingdom, because this is not very taught in schools. You know, we tend to learn the history of Africa post-colonization or right after colonization. But before that, there was a centuries that went on as a friendly relationship. So, and then of course, being humans, years after they start discovering the minerals, gold and diamonds and everything, or after they give value to the things, and also slaves, the discovery of the new land, the America. I think that was studied, because when they discovered America, you know about the story, like slave trade started. And I think the Europeans found a way to, because America needed more bodies for the plantation, to explore the land. So I think there was always a form of slavery in the Kingdom of Africa. So that's something we should mention too. So, but the slavery on a different form that was the slavery in the Americas, or in the Caribbean or Brazil. So it was a different kind of slavery. The kind of slavery that exists there was, we go fight with you, we win the war, we take you, you come work in the community. But the slave was still a human being. The slave had still a chance to be part of the community. Years after, some time, the slave could become the chief of the village, the leader of the community. So it was like that. But versus the slavery that we know in America, you know, you were property basically, and you were no human being. So I'm not here to talk about slavery. so the Minkisi were just again, to come back, was the God, like it's a mental power, I'll call it, because the people, there was after attempts of wars when the Portuguese start fighting the people of Congo to possess the land, they resisted because they were also powerful. And also another thing was like, because of the belief in Minkisi, but they had to find ways how to win. So to win, the religion and stripping you from your spiritual belief, that was, I think, for me, was one of the key that allowed led colonization, of course, and what we have today. So yeah, that was a little bit about the Minkisi. I'm not going to, I need to allow also for you to ask questions, because a lot of things I can tell you when you ask questions. But before, I'm going to go back again to my Minkisi Mbokola. So I talked in the beginning about Africa, many countries like dance and music being part of the culture. So this Mbokola, for me, I was thinking about what kind of dances they used, the Nganga used, or what dances the Nganga asked people to do when he was in the process of summoning the spirits. And my vibration in the body, and I vibrate, my body vibrates with the sound of this. But if I have the words, I'm talking to my ancestors in the language. Ancestors in the word, in language we call Bakulo. So if I'm connecting with the Bakulo, I'm going to say something as what we know today, you're making a prayer pretty much. If it's a prayer way for you to connect, but you have words that you do in your language. I choose a language, I speak about 5-6 languages, so I choose one, which choose and you connect. So the vibration and the movement. So dance here for me, this Kisi is a living being. It has movement. When you see different shapes, combination of different shapes of the Kisi gives you movement. So it's alive. When you get to connect with it, it's really alive. You feel it. But of course, this is not a platform for spiritual demonstrations, because it's not for demonstrations. It's a way for you to be in harmony with your ancestral spirits. It's not a demonstration. So it's more of a sharing of a little bit of how it goes. But each one has its own process, its own way of connecting with the spirit. So I'm taking it now onto kind of how I use it in my dance practice. In some of my dance practices, if I am doing work related to spirituality or culture. So we use that, and we have the Mbokola. So I will call Chris, who will come join me, and we will see how we put on the Mbokola. And sometimes the Mbokola helps us to get into the shape of intense. It will be a little bit joyful, not intense. But it gets intense.
Fuma, atata eba mama, atoka eba nduma, bishile pool, emuka mushiboko, lumo, lwini, ingala, minduli, goma tete, mayama, indamba, vinza, banza ndunga, kimba, inye, muta onde mankenda lomele soleki wisople pool, walu video, yindu la ibele resho ifui, yini ndamu tukala yenga, salama toko eba nduma.
So, I'm gonna ask you yes, go now we explain to you.
are you inspired from the actual moment, or is it everything choreographed, or is it like a call and response?
Thank you. It's not choreographed. We just were initiated with to the ritual of the dance. You know, him and I, we were initiated to it, so we know how we can connect, where we can come together, where we remain connected throughout, but we know when he has to switch movement or when he doesn't have to switch movement or when we have to come together in a unison movement, but we know how to kind of keep the energies together. And did I respond to your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, please.
You mentioned how we're in a different time now, and I'm curious because I'm a person that likes to facilitate ceremony and things like that, and I kind of take from different spiritualities and religions, trying to search for ancestry. You guys just said it's a mystery, trying to find where we're all from on that beautiful continent. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on what it means to create our own myths in this time, or like specifically as like part of the diaspora, like what does it mean for us to be creating our own myths, and like what your thoughts are on that?
It's a good question. I call this whole process as a rebirth for me. 10 years ago, it was not something I was doing. I was with consciousness. I was doing that with just a different awareness or unconscious awareness. But now for me to rebirth to connecting with not only just the ancestor, but with the history and the practices of the cultural practices for me. So it really means for me how you sometimes, a lot of things were lost, the knowledge were lost. And today, many African cultures now cope with traditions and modernity. So when you go, even if some of experiences about the Casino West Africa being like a museum, something stuck in time, but it's really not. So it is always a mix of, you know, the influence of the Western world and of course us keeping our traditions somehow. But you find now, if you are with a consciousness, when you reach that stage, now you try to find, I try to find it, how I dissociate what was before and what is now. So I try, there's a lot of mystery, and there are a lot of mysteries, of course, and some answers I have not found yet, but I think because of the languages, I think me speaking the languages, and all there's many languages that I speak, I can connect. Just speaking a language transforms me, my experience of when I switch from English to French, or when I switch from there to Lingala, Molotuba, or Lari. It's a totally different expression too. Like my way of talking changed, my body language changes. So that's already connection there too. And if I'm there, the land, that's why for me it's important not to do with shoes, because even if I'm upstairs on the second floor of whatever floor we are, but I still want to, my feet have to touch on something. So I want to draw it from somewhere because it's intrinsic. To me, I think it's intrinsic, and I can be a non-initiated Nganga. So somehow, with what is into my genes, in my genes, the information is there. I believe it, that I can call on that connection, the spiritual connection, and feel it.
That's beautiful to hear, because that's where I resonate with it too.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yes.
I find what resonates with me through the movement and through the ceremony.
Yes, and the language.
Exactly.
And the music and the food. So, so if it was not a museum, usually I would bring always food. I would have fed you, but you know, no food allowed. In a proper place, we eat and drink. But yeah, next time. Yes, please.
First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for your lectures and your performance. It's really impressive to see how you're able to articulate on those issues. I was born and raised in West Africa as well, and I'm kind of familiar with the Minkisi stuff, but we don't have stuff like the way that you just explained the way it is, but we have similar stuff of things like that, and we also the process is more or less the same. And also you talked about how it could be used to like stop rain. I used to have a very close family relative, but she passed already. She used to be able to stop rain from coming, and people could be able to go to their farms and do their activities and come back.
Yes.
And also I was very keen for her to show me certain things, but she didn't, like when a pregnant woman passed away and she still had the baby in her, she would like invoke the spirit, and that person would come back to life and deliver the baby and then go back. Yeah. So I was keen on that, but she didn't let me understand it. Process, but that's okay. But my question is that I want to know if you guys have like specific shrine, like people who go and meet these things, or people who just take them home and then do what they want to do with it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you for sharing what you just shared, and as we found similarities in how we connect. So really, unfortunately, there is no worshiping or cult of Minkisi back home. There is none. I have went back. I looked for Minkisi in the Republic of Congo. I couldn't find one. So, and because the kingdom was big, so maybe I would need to make a trip in the Democratic Republic of Congo because it's much bigger and Angola. Probably I may find something. Probably, hopefully, that will be. It's part of my quest. And but there is no, like in majority, there is no even knowledge of that's the existence of Minkisi. So there is no place where you go. For me, my shrine is pretty much what I am doing, but I don't even have a physical shrine in my place because I have to just keep it intrinsically in my body right now. And I'm also just not lacking, even if I found the Minkisi, the statue itself there, but it would be an empty vessel. Well, would I have permission to charge it, or how? I don't know.
Because the reason why I'm asking is like in my own tribe we have to do the same cultural dance that you did, and I think it's a 2-year process between the age of 15 to 18. Every male child that's born within that tribe should be able to.
Like you.
Yeah,
That's a blessing.
Yeah, but it is a specific place. You don't just do it anywhere, and how you have to go to a specific place for 2 years, an isolated place where you stay there for 2 years and they taught you everything with regards manhood, cultural activity, responsibility, what you need to know, and how you need to perform in society and stuff like that. So that's why I was asking, because you cannot just do it anywhere. You have to be able to go to a specific place and then stay there for 2 years, and you taught everything society. You need to know about society, how you should become responsible and stuff like that. So I want to know if it's the same thing in Congo, or it's just totally different.
I think it is the same thing too, because location matters. Location also weather. The weather, when I mean I cannot pronounce this, weather, climate. Like, is it cold? What season? The season matters too. Is it during the rainy season? We only have 2 seasons: either rainy season or a dry season. No winter, basically. So you do weather matters too, like location and weather. If it's a rainy season, or is it cold, dry season, as we say in the Congo, or that's matters too. So that's get to and specific knowledge, because you just don't do it like that. You just don't do it. There are codes. These things are codified. You have to say certain way, certain words a certain way with a certain tone in a voice. And it's all matter. It's really codified. It's specificity. When you walk in a place, there is also a way how you walk there. You walk frontal, or you walk backwards, or how you exit backward or frontal, or your knees or your back. So they are codes. And this makumbolo, the clapping, it was not just this, but it's so it's this going around. And I'm making this little body, so I'm making the sound. So the makumbula here is also a sign of respect. You play respect as you're making the sound, but you also paying tribute to respect to the space, the people, and the ancestors that you acknowledge these little gestures here. But of course, there is more. There is Commonly to say thank you, you will go depend on culture. Sometimes it's one, sometimes. So if you say one, it means something. If you say two or three, it's all codified, really. So again, it's like, specifically, I was not initiated to it. I am in a quest looking, but yes, definitely, just as you say, there are codes you have to learn how to do it. Yes, please.
I was wondering about women's.
Thank you.
Women's place in the process. Are there female Ngongos, or do they have a specific place? Since most of the time I know that it's male to do a lot of the healing process, and they do the carving in most places. So I was just curious if you knew, because sometimes they only know in secrets.
Yeah, that's a no. In the Congo, definitely they are, Gangas are both male and females. Yeah, definitely. They're both males and females. So having the statues here, I collected a lot like that look like manly, really, but they are really asexual. And some of them, as I wanna say, like was looking like shape as a female with holding a baby, like to be specific about the fertility. But the Gangas, the actual Ganga, the modern even now Ganga that exists, they're male and females.
And the one other thing I wanted to mention was just a comment when you were dancing, your dancing partner, when he was right in front of the white screen, his face became like the faces of the Minkisi. The white came down, like I looked up for a minute and I thought, oh, he's powdered his face, you know, or covered it. And then I realized he hadn't when he moved away.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of a spiritual thing. It was really interesting for me to see. It was especially him more than you. And,
Yeah.
he would get the white
Yeah.
over his face, just like the figure.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a piece like a big production of the same project, like where we use actually body painting. We use the costume, the body paints, and we're trying to bring the piece here as actually
Your screen became a body paint.
Yeah, so and one of the kisses inspired the one in white, and we bring that really, and with the bronze, but many more, we bring things that around it. But next year, next production next year, yeah, so we keep information, you can see it. Yes, so yeah, I'm happy that you were able to see that, and I think I was trying to keep in the low, but you know, sometimes when class, but being the quiz did, you can get into like really go deep, go deep in the embodying, and then bringing it out. So, and it gets really intense, and it can get you to a place where you don't want to do it for 10 minutes. You want to live the experience for hours, and we don't have the time. They'll close the museum. We'll be still in our elements doing our thing. Yes.
I was just wondering if you could share a little bit, you might have shared this at the beginning, so and I wasn't here in the first minutes, but about your quest and like how you're like a story about how you've been gathering this information or how it's come to you, this information personally.
Yeah, very quickly, I said I first time found it in the museum in France, and then I started investigating. So looking at sources like books, all the people who have researched about it. Let me get the keyboard. I will go back to. So I have. So in the end of the PowerPoints, I gathered sources, some people that I found who done a lot of research on Minkisi, like one guy is Wyatt McAfee. Oh my God, technology is leaving us. All the kisses speaking. Yes. So my process was really looking at who has research on Minkisi. So it's a guy like Wyatt McAfee done a lot of research. Like these people, they travel, they came to the Congo, they live in the Congo, so they done a lot more than I did. And I was asking questions for me, and really it's been through reading a lot, researching and looking at and comparative studies. So this guy like Jordan Manier, He wrote something about the Kingdom of Congo, but not specifically about Minkisi, but some are just, these are mostly, I think, the university, the places where you can find Minkisi. Can you? Yeah, these are people who wrote other articles or public publications and yeah. One more next, please. Yes, this guy here, Wyatt McCarthy. I would recommend you look him up. He has a lot of publication and the book Astonishment and Power will give you a lot more content. Or Alisa Lagama. She also wrote something about the Minkisi, and also my research about the Congolese philosophers who wrote about the cosmology. These people wrote mostly about the Minkisi, the figure, the meaning, the social, political, and religious, but there is the Congolese philosophers who wrote about the cosmology, cosmogony, and the relationship with the Minkisi and the movement, and it's deep, like into the language, using the vocabulary of the Congo people. Which I did not bring it because it's going to be a lot of Congolese languages and I will not translate all the time, so I try not to bring it today, so I speak English. Yes, please. Yes.
First of all, thank you, Reed, and thank you, Chris, for just a beautiful demonstration. So it's a comment and a question. You are not trying to recreate something, you're not trying to do a reenactment of something, because it's still a living tradition through what you're doing and your approach. And I was interested if maybe you could break down just even one movement, like what came from the Congo,
Yeah.
movement that and what was your contemporary edition. For instance, like I see at one point a gesture like this that was so reminiscent of what we saw. Was that?
Yeah.
Where does that fall?
Okay, good. So they are talking the mic. So the dance itself, like we have the one of the thing in the tradition of dancing in the Congo, the base is the waist. So waist, and this is usually the placement we try to connect with grounding. The dance is grounding, and sometimes it's a little bit elevating the heels a little bit, so we keep a wide range of movements. So the waist here, when we do it's a rotation of the waist. It allows you to go up and down, but it allows you to be wide, amplitude in the space. So the movement and the gesture movement, so it goes oscillating left and right, and also another interpretation of the use of the waist will be sometimes fertility, not always. But when we say fertility, it's not sexual. Like many people think it's sexual because you're moving the waist. It's nothing to do with that. This is a tradition we learn about the Congo Kobe. First of all, there is music. There is a specific drumming to it. It's a drum with something in the middle. So you listen to the music, you feel it, and the vibration goes. It starts inside, basically. And then the movement, the shoulders, you connect with it, and everybody has the same rhythm that goes from here, and the feet going left to right. So that's the original movement. And the gestures come from the kissing, the different figures. For me, there are many kinds of different figures of kissing come in different shapes. So going here or going here, it's just really trying to remember the different shapes of the kissing. So from somewhere had spears, like we go here, some had knots, from here to whatever gestures. I use one, I open my fingers. So when I use this gesture here, for me this is not from the Minkisi, but this is for me a way to channel the energy for my palm. Because something happens for me when I really do it, like opening my palms, I need to receive. So to receive, this has to be open, it becomes a channel. So there is a mix of the original Bakongo movement as we were initiated to of just dancing movement as it is, but to combine it with the gestures of the Minkisi. And sometimes when we get into it, your body may do something that you don't know what it did, because so that's a mix of both. So contemporary, well, we live in contemporary times. Because sometimes I wonder, this is how I was initiated to this dance. We dance is still alive today. A question, in the 17th century, was this dance danced the same way? Or was it corrupted? Or did it evolve? Or was even this dance, was it going to be danced the same way in 1 century, 2 centuries later? Because in the social circles, each dancer sometimes bring their own signature. So not all the movements are the same. I have found one dancer in the Congo, the movement we go there, we go there. I have a friend, when he dances, he uses legs. He travels with his chicken leg. So he goes all over the place in space, just going here, here, here. So that's his signature, but that was not originally taught. So that's a solo movement, a solo signature, because now it's not spiritual. Now it becomes performance. Sometimes it's wow, because in a circle, sometimes when you're in a circle with women, ladies, boys and girls, or men and women, sometimes it becomes flirtatious to wow the lady, or for the lady to wow. So the ladies dance a little bit differently with different dynamics. And yes, did you respond to the question? Are you sure? That's no. Okay, good. All right, good. So yeah, improvements. So, but I wish I had a time machine to go back in 17th century to have a look. But definitely, I have to tell you, a lot of things there is a lot of corruptions in the dances. So that's just the truth. There is nothing very original because this dance have been traveling, leaving Africa, going to the Western. The Western becomes commercialized, it becomes money-making machine. But you have to go